Hi, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Zero Hour Hell Let's Talk. Today we've got Ryan Kleinknecht. Did I do it right?
It's
Tell me I did
close.
it right.
Kleinknecht, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. It's the first. We've known each other for years, and it's like the first time I've ever said your name out loud to you. And it's one of the most stressful things I think I've been through.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I don't think I could spell it till about grade 5, so that's not too
Oh,
bad.
perfect. All right. I don't feel so bad anymore. But I wanted to talk to you today, Ryan, because you posted a very interesting article on the group the other day that struck me. And it was about sort of like a positive framing thing and, like negative framing and the effects that those two things kind of have on you. And I just found it very inspirational and thought that we might want to like share some discussion around that with the viewers.
Yeah, that'd be good. That was with Tim Bilyeu and Trevor Moawad. Trevor Moawad was being interviewed by Tim and
Hmm.
oh, sorry, Tom. I got that wrong. Tom Bilyeu, but it was
We're doing
it was
great on
pretty good.
names today.
Yeah, yeah, of course. There's always something.
Yeah, this is
But
the
yeah, he
theme.
he talked a bit about the positive mindset aspect of life, but he's mainly into sports. But it sort of transfers to everything, but also how negative impact
Mhm.
happens when you're thinking negatively constantly, and what that's going to do to your life in sort of the long term as well.
Well, he described on it like what seems like a very like self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. And this like the very interesting part that he had mentioned was it wasn't equal from like positive thoughts to negative thoughts. So I can't remember what he said, but it was like 7 to 10 times or something more powerful are these like positive dialogues that you have and how they create those negative. Sorry, did I say positive? I meant negative.
Yeah.
Negative outcomes and how they have like an effect on your life and like you actually end up producing those negative outcomes by like constantly repeating that dialogue to yourself that this is the way things are and that they're going to be shitty.
Yeah, I think he said it's something like 7 times more powerful your negative thoughts are to your positive thoughts. And I'm
Hmm.
sure like everyone sort of went through that in their life too at some point. Everyone can sort of think back and go, oh man, I was thinking negatively on this situation
Hmm.
and it happened. But then you sit there and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna think positively on these situations. I'm gonna write these positive things down. And it's like, oh man, nothing happened. I sat here for 2 hours thinking positively.
Hmm.
And that's sort of what he's getting at is that, you know, you can't just have one positive thought for one negative thought. It doesn't really cancel each other out. You sort of need to make a lifestyle around being positive, or just not being negative was his big thing.
Yeah, yeah, and like he mentioned like you know significant change in like this large like because he worked with like the like NFL. It was what I
Yeah.
was understanding there, and like the biggest impact that they had for like changing how like the team's outcomes were and like their success rate was just to get them to stop the negative talk. Like it was as simple as that. Was just stop negative talk. There was nothing complicated about it. It was just do not speak negatively about the situations because you will reinforce them. And it
Yeah.
had like an amazing impact on it. And I start to think to myself, like, I look at like people who are struggling with things like depression and anxiety and like my own experiences with depression and those times where I just like sat there and was like unable to do anything and just constantly kept repeating how horrible the situation was over in my mind and over again. And like, yeah, the situation became terrible.
Yeah. It compounds really fast, and that's with anything too. Like
Hmm.
there's all this, take work.
Yeah.
Say you get fired from work, or right now we're going through this health crisis and people are being laid off, and that's probably all you can think about, which just makes it worse and worse and worse. And that's, sort of every big activity we have in our life: relationships, work, sports, health and fitness. You wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm going to hit snooze one more time, and then the next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and you didn't go to the gym.
Yeah. Or do like the simple things at home, even just like go for a walk, like just do something to get you moving at the start of the day
Yep.
and, create a little bit of that, I want to say routine that you can build up into eventually going to the gym and things like that. But like this is it's interesting that you bring up like the work perspective and like the health crisis because like whether or not it's like and like it strikes me pretty close to heart with my experiences with dealing with depression and things. But like if you're sitting at home and you're like I'm gonna lose my job, you're probably not performing the greatest at work, and you're going to end up reinforcing that thought and becoming the person who loses their job because you've just talked yourself into it.
Yeah.
Same thing with, like, this whole COVID-19 situation, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. If you're constantly thinking, I'm going to die from coronavirus, and you catch anything that's even remotely like coronavirus, you're probably going to talk yourself into dying. And like, even Tom mentions it in his speech, the guy who gets locked in the like cooling car, the box car.
Yeah.
And he just constantly keeps writing down how he's going to get colder, or how he is getting colder and colder. And they find him dead, but the refrigeration unit was broken, and it wasn't even cold in the box car, but he had like talked himself into dying,
Yep.
which is mind blowing.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies on that in occurrences too. Like you can look up a ton of them where people have just talked themselves into dying. And it's like that's the epitome of negative mindset. Like that's as negative as you can pretty much get.
Yeah. And,
Uh,
well, I think about, like, have you ever, I'm assuming you've read a lot of studies, which I'm learning more and more every day.
yeah.
But have you read the studies on like learned helplessness? Where it's
Yeah.
essentially like, I believe it was, they did it on like, the studies were done on dogs initially and things like that, but essentially they shock them, they put them on like an electric floor kind of thing, and they shock them every once in a while until they eventually learn to just stop caring about like pain and everything, because they've adjusted it to it being like a regular part of their day. And
Yeah.
I think, to like, the all the people out there who are like suffering with depression or like a mental illness, who just like every day are being like, they reinforce in their mind this like disability first kind of mindset, instead of like the person first mindset. So it's like they are defined by their disability kind of thing, so they're
Yep.
part of it. And they're just like, this is just who I am, this is how I'm always going to be, and I've heard it time and time again. It's like, yeah, well, this is what I am. I'm a depressed person. I'm like, no, you're a person who suffers from depression, but you can't let that define you as like your single greatest thing, because otherwise you're just going to stay in bed, and you're going to feel that every day, and you're like, this is me, and every single day you reinforce that, it becomes more and more true.
Yeah. 100%. And that's part of this too is like the positive negative mindset. If you suffer from depression, which we're finding out more and more and more people do, or a
Hmm.
variation of it,
Hmm.
and you have to live with that. You sort of stigmatize yourself in many ways, or you have the ability to, because you're
Hmm.
right. People say this is who I am, and this is just it. I'm gonna have to, take medication, or
Yeah.
go see a doctor, or physio, or a doctor to get some mental help, and that's not always necessarily the case. You
Yeah.
just sort of force yourself to stay in that situation. But I get it. Like to change that on your own without help is extremely hard. Like
Oh.
everyone's like, "Oh, just go out and do something." Well, when you're lying in your bed, you can't sleep. You finally fall asleep. You sleep for 2 hours and you wake up and you're
Hmm.
mentally and physically drained. The last thing you're going to want to do is go outside and exercise.
Yeah.
However, if you don't go out and exercise, you're just repeating the same habits you've always done, and therefore you're going to be stuck in the same situation you've always been stuck in. Our
Hmm.
habitual habits sort of keep us in this train wreck of a life that we're trying to change.
Yeah.
And we don't want that at all.
No, no. And like, I think like I never worked out, never did physical activity. I was always involved in sports and things pretty regularly, but then I got injured, and that kind of like put like a damper on my enthusiasm
Hmm.
for sports, because for like 5 years I couldn't do anything with like my right arm or the right side of my body. And it wasn't actually until, well, I think when we first started talking, I was in a pretty bad way myself. And you invited me out to like the workout sessions and things, and if it wasn't for like a group of people that was literally like taking me by the hand and checking in and being like, are you coming today, we're looking forward to seeing you, we'll help you through it, we'll make it easy, then I don't know if I ever would have gotten through those like first difficult steps of like reframing my mind from like physical activity is an impossibility for me because I'm broken, to like, let's say, I don't know, what was it, like 2 years ago, I came back from BC and we had our workout competition. And I think it was probably in the best shape ever.
Yeah, I remember that. you you laughed. I'm like, okay, I'm lifting more than Jay. This is good. I'm watching all your progression when you're out west. I'm like, holy crap, he's getting pretty strong. And then you come back and you're lifting. I'm like, I don't think I can lift that. There's been a significant change here.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, you were gone for what, 2 years, was it?
Not even. I was gone for 1 year exactly.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
I was only
yeah.
twice as off. That's no problem. But like, you made a significant change
Hmm.
when you went out there, and that took you a year. Well, if we live, I don't know, 75 years, and you took a year to change your life,
Hmm.
that's pretty good.
No,
You
it
know?
is. And like it was the same thing out there. I had one person. All it took was one person who was like, I
Hmm.
need a gym buddy, had half an idea in their mind of what they wanted to do. And
Yeah,
I got into doing the workouts with them on a consistent basis, and just enjoyed having that like reinforcement from someone else who was like telling you you're doing good and making you feel competent and like able to do the things that you previously didn't have knowledge of. And then
yeah,
eventually it just became like my routine, and I look forward to going to that. And I was like, you know what, people people are going to like this person that I am now. Like I feel good about myself, like I'm proud of what I've accomplished, and I can't, like, I'm actually excited to show off my improvement. But it's like
yeah,
it's that first, like, I want to say 30 to 90 days, because like workout terms it's like 90 days you start seeing some results, but like
yeah,
realistically to develop like a habit you're looking at like 20 to 30 days of consistent effort.
yeah. And you have to be conscious of that. When they say consistent effort,
Hmm.
it's not like, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym every 2 days, or I'm going to eat healthy every 2 days. It's something you actively need to think about. It can't just be Monday, I'm going to think about this. I'm not going to think about it Tuesday. Wednesday, oh yeah, I should eat healthy today. It needs to be,
Yeah.
when you're making a habit, it needs to be active thoughts. A really good book actually on that is Atomic Habits by
This is new for
James
me.
Clear, I
Okay,
think it is. Yeah,
gonna have to check
James
this out.
Clear. It's really good. It talks about changing your habits and how to make more positive habits, and it talks about habit stacking. So the basics of that are, I think he actually uses it in his book. You wake up in the morning. Every morning you wake up. Theoretically, hopefully, you brush your teeth when you wake up, or you have a coffee and
I
brush
did
your
it
teeth.
before this little cast here, so
Yeah, so did I.
confirmed.
I don't know why, but I was like, I should brush my teeth. But the idea is every morning, say before work at 7 o'clock, you brush your teeth.
Hmm.
That's habit one. So what you
Hmm.
do immediately after that is you habit stack. So you put something right after brushing your teeth that you want to make a habit to help change your life. If it's
Hmm.
something like get into shape or eat healthy, so as soon as you brush your teeth, you do 10 push-ups or whatever, or you make your healthy green shake or something like that. Just
Yeah.
something that you do every time after you brush your teeth, because that brushing your teeth is already a habit.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It reminds me of my bathroom tax, where I hang the pull-up bar in the bathroom door, and the price of using the bathroom is as many pull-ups as you can do, typically
That's
5 to
brilliant.
10.
Yep.
Yeah, you really realize how much you go to the washroom in a day.
The next day it's like, oh man, I'm really sore from going to the bathroom. That's not a good thing.
You start adopting that trucker lifestyle where you just keep a jug beside your desk. But anyways, I think that's where that's going to be the tips of the day today. I like where we went with that. So for anyone out there who's listening, remember, like, don't don't even say the negative things. Don't
Yeah,
like challenge yourself to not bring forward negativity in your life. Reinforce the positive things. Say those out loud. Communicate that to people.
yeah,
And then I think Ryan mentioned a great way to start developing some habits in your life with this habit stacking. So maybe just record the things that you kind of do at the start of your day or like throughout your day, and see what you can pair up with those different activities that are regular to promote like a healthy and positive lifestyle.
yep.
Yeah. All right. And with that, I think we're going to end today's episode of Hell Let's Talk. So thank you, Ryan, for joining us. And I will trick you into coming back regularly.
Perfect. This one
Because
only took 2 weeks.
yeah, you sent me 38 months worth of material in 1 week. So I'm just going to have you back on the regular. Okay.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right. Until
Thanks.
next time.